Okay guys, it's been too long. We're going to do a review on this Smith & Wesson M&P9 Pro Series. I picked up, Christmas. So I've got close to 2 months under my belt with it. And absolutely in love with this gun. Absolute favorite handgun and just having a great time with it. I've got quite a few hundred rounds down range with it now. You know, done some work with it and really put it through enough of a test where I feel I've got a good gauge of its reliability, its accuracy, and all that. So the M&P series has been around, I think, probably a decade, a little over a decade. The Pro series has only been around, I think, 6 or 7 years, and so they're kind of new to the market. I never like buying new to the market firearms, but I think this has been around long enough now where they've got the bugs worked out. Price range, I think I paid around $700 for this, but I think you can get them cheaper, of course, once you get outside of New York State. So that said, what is this bad boy? This, of course, is a polymer framed firearm with a 5-inch barrel, often referred to as kind of like the long slide version. They do make a shorter one. I think that's a 4.25-inch barrel. It's got a very tough melonite finish. It's got the removable back straps. It has the reversible magazine release, which I have set up for Lefty right now. It has the trigger style safety that you see on a Glock and an ambidextrous slide release. This version also comes with night sights and an upgraded like competition grade sear. The Pro Series firearms go to the Smith & Wesson Pro Center to get tuned. They put the better sights on them. They put and work on the trigger. The trigger on mine is just absolutely fantastic. I hear other people complain that theirs is a bit heavy, you know, still in that 5 or 6 pound neighborhood. Mine is nowhere close. So we're gonna safety check. This is empty. You know, lots of times I do these with loaded firearms because in reality we treat them all like they're loaded, but this one just happens to be empty. See, we are completely empty. Oh, can't forget Picatinny rail as well. So now that we know this thing's empty, we're going to show you the trigger on this thing, which I know a lot of people like to see. Of course, we're pointing in a safe direction. This way is all woods. There's no other family members or anything else. When you're dry firing, I don't care how empty you think your firearm is, you always point in a safe direction. Follow the basic rules of safety, even when you assume a firearm is empty. Okay, so trigger has a little bit of take up, as you can see, and it kind of hits a wall. Then the brake, and there's really no much over travel past the brake. So we're gonna show you the reset. The reset, as we focus here, is minimal at best, and that's reset. Very short reset. Some people don't like the reset. I love it. There's no audible click. You know, the Glocks have that click you can hear from like 2 blocks away. This thing's very, I can feel it, you know, so you can see that little bit of a jump as it hits it. But it's got a very good trigger. I would guesstimate, based on my other firearms, that I know what their triggers are. It's probably between a 3 and a 4 pound trigger. But altogether, really a nice action to it. Some people don't seem to like it. Some people like the heavier reset that comes on the Glock. I find this to be perfect for me. Ergonomics. This thing is a dream for me. Number one, you got the ambidextrous slide release, bonus. The reversible mag release, double bonus. And the adjustable grips, triple bonus. Now I have weird hands, and it's a weird thing to admit on, because normally 9 times out of 10 when you're watching a firearm video, the guys are like, yeah, I got huge hands, so this gun's no big deal. Not me. You know, I wear an extra large size glove, but I have huge palms and little tiny short stubby fingers. It's really a weird hand size. So for me, a lot of firearms are difficult because with a full-size Glock, that trigger is kind of a bit of a reach for me and I don't get a good trigger pull on them. Now on the other hand, some of the smaller firearms out there, some of the little pocket pistols, my palms are just too big. I have, it doesn't show well on video because there isn't much scale, but my palms are gigantic and I have just these little tiny short nubby fingers. So little tiny firearms just tend to disappear and I can't get a good trigger pull on them. This firearm with the small back strap fits my hand perfectly and I get a really good even trigger pull on this, whether my finger's not touching the frame as I pull it. And that happens a lot. You get firearms and your finger tends to be, because you're reaching so far, you're up against the frame. I can actually keep my finger completely off the frame, minimizing any interference, and pull straight back, which is a huge bonus for me. And I can reach the slide release easily, I can reach the mag release easily, everything, despite having my goofy hands. So ergonomics are a massive plus. People who have weird hands, this is a dream gun. I know everybody loves the Glock better. It just seems like every video you see on this, the M&P, it's like, hey, I love the M&P, but I like the Glock better. You know what? For me, a lefty with weird size hands, sorry, the Glock is not always for me. It's just, the reach is a bit much on the trigger. The magazine release is, very difficult to get to. It's not a good fit for me. This gun is a good fit for me. Magazine capacity, we got the crappy New York 10s here. There are 17 rounders available, I think, through Pro Mag, and Smith & Wesson makes them for the free states. I think there's also some 30 round mags out there as well. I've never seen them, but I'm pretty sure they do exist. So magazine capacity is pretty good, on par, with your full-size Glocks. Let's move on to performance. Now, first couple of magazines, I had a little bit of a problem. What I was having was that the gun was firing and shooting, and the bullet that was getting stripped off the magazine was not chambering. What I think, number one, it's been amazingly cold here in New York. I think it may be a combination of just normal firearm break-in, the fact that it was so cold, and I tend to over-lubricate guns. I think that may have contributed a little bit. Plus the fact that it's cold and I was wearing a jacket and heavy clothes, the slide may have been making contact with my sleeve or something like that. It disappeared literally the second time I went to go shoot it, so I'm guessing it's either just a break-in issue, a clothing issue, or maybe even, maybe I was limp wristing a bit, who knows. I'm not afraid to admit that. I might have just been not shooting well. So, other than that, it did that maybe 4 or 5 times in the first 100 rounds. So right in that neighborhood. Other than that, performance is flawless. And in the, I think, about 400 or 500 rounds I've fired since then, have not had a single problem at all. Accuracy, I completely lost my targets. I actually kept them for this, but I've lost it. But it's always tough when you talk about accuracy in these videos. People tend to get a little bit upset because they're always going to say, "Oh, this firearm's more accurate. That firearm's more accurate." The firearms are accurate, but it's how well you shoot them. And I shoot this gun very, very well. And I think that has to do with the ergonomics, the fit of my hand, and they're really nice night sights. The night sights are really good. I shoot very, very well. At 7 yards, I was shooting, 1-inch groups or less. I think I went out once to 15 yards, and I was shooting maybe 2 or 3-inch groups. Very, very accurate for the money. I really wish I kept those targets. I set them aside, and I think they got thrown out with some other ones. But I was shooting just dead on with this thing. As long as I took my time, aimed well, just really focused on the basics, this thing just shot terrific. even some speed drills. I shot quick. You know, I kept my groups under 6 inches, shooting really, really fast. Just very fantastic for me. You may not have the same results. You may be different. Your hand may be different. Your sights may not line up as well as mine. Who knows? But for me, this thing was very accurate. It was dead on out of the box. I did not have to make any adjustment to the sights. And the cool thing is too, with this, normally you would shoot above your front sight. Where that green dot is, that's where the bullet goes. Plain and simple. You don't need to aim above or below where that green dot is. The bullet goes as long as you have the correct sight picture. So I thought that was really awesome. That it, you know, at first, of course, I was shooting a little off, and I didn't realize why. But then, quick look online, and I found out that these things are sighted to the green dot, not above it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So overall, I mean, everything about this gun just fantastic for me. You know, the ergos, accuracy. It's not a gun I'm going to carry on my hip every day by any means. You know, it's just too big of a firearm to everyday carry. But for going to the range, target practice, you know, even just having a nice full-sized semi-auto for shit hits the fan kind of thing, terrific firearm. Of course, it's always going to have that issue that it's going to stack up to the Glock. And, you know, you're never going to win with the Glock guys. You know, Glocks are terrific firearms, but they're not for everybody. And I think Smith & Wesson made a great decision by making the ergonomics a little better for everybody. And that is the real shining star of this firearm, is that it's a little more appropriate for people. This is something my wife can shoot, and it's way more comfortable for her to shoot. I think it appeals to a little broader variety of people. And, you know, the Glocks are great, they're accurate, they're tough, you know, but the ergos on them just aren't for everyone. So I think this is a good advantage to it over them. You know, I don't have a Glock, full-size Glock side by side to do an accuracy test, but, you know, I couldn't tell you if it's more or less accurate. I've seen it go both ways on videos. Some people seem to shoot this better, some people seem to shoot the Glock better. It's all personal, guys. It's all, you know, how you hold it, your stance, all that put together into one. You know, you may shoot one firearm terrific, the next one not so terrific, and the guy next to you may have the exact opposite result. So keep that in mind. It's a great little system, and it's great for people who are like me, that lefty with weird hands, small hands, you name it, those things no one wants to admit to in videos. It's a terrific buy, and I'm very, very pleased that I bought it. And just can't, like I said, I can't say enough good stuff about it.